that in the second one we're saying it's not a love story because they're too young to really grasp this concept.
Her own mom is telling them that she's yet not 14, so she'll be getting married.
Okay, nice. Now, that's basically a good support for that second thesis statement, right? Now, question. Why phrase it this way? Why phrase it as she's not 14 instead of, say, she's 13? Steven?
I think it means like she's not like old enough, so like you shouldn't do it. Like in that type of sense, like in a way that's like bad. Like she phrases it more that it's bad than more that it's correct.
It's focused on the negative.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. So, no, totally. So it's not saying like, oh, she's already 13 years old. It's saying she's not even 14 years old. She's categorizing her age as anything from 0 to 13. She's saying she's a child, right? And this is something to keep in mind when you're writing your essays. Don't just say, oh, see, she's not even 14, so she's not old enough. That is good. That gets the first part down. But go deeper. Why did the author choose to use words that he or she did? In this case, he is William Shakespeare. She's not 14. Maybe part of it's the rhythm, right? He writes in sort of poetic kind of prose, but she's not 14 does highlight her childhood. Now, what about the second one? Can someone read the second one for us? Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah.
O Thursday, let it be.
Sorry.
O Thursday, tell her she shall be married to this novel or lady.
Great, so just to review here, O Thursday, let it be. O Thursday, tell her she shall be married to this noble earl, right? Now, this is her father, Juliet's father, Capulet, talking about how, guys, about how she's going to get married to this guy Paris, right? Which which thesis statement do you think this would fit with? Go ahead.
The first one, because of the fact that...
Nice and loud.
Sorry. The first one, because it says, like, Romeo and Juliet is also lovers forced into an impossible situation. So basically, it's basically talking about the fact that she's going to get married, and, like, they're so happy about it, but if you read the book, it's basically saying that she's not happy to be married first. So she's, like, forced in order to marry Romeo in such a short period of time, because she doesn't marry him, she doesn't marry her.
Right, exactly. So she's forced in a situation where it's not even, oh, you're going to get married sometime. It's like, this week you're getting married. You know, in fact, the quote before this, I didn't want to have the whole thing, was talking about how Wednesday's too soon. So let's make it Thursday, right? It's a little bit ridiculous that this poor girl is being shoved into adulthood so fast with this guy that she doesn't really know at all. And later you could talk, if you're writing your essay, you could have your quote, and then you could paraphrase other parts of the text, right? You could talk about how when she protests against this to her father, he flew into a rage, and it further cemented the fact that they did not respect her feelings, they didn't respect her autonomy, all that. Everything here can be used to tie back into this thesis. How about the last one? Can someone give it a read for me? Yes, John.
Did my heart love till now? Forswear its sight, for I nearer ne'er saw true beauty to this night.
That's like never with the apostrophe. Yeah, so this is Romeo talking, and question, I know we didn't read this right now, but this is when he first sees Juliet at the party, right?
Yeah.
So which one of these these statements do you think this would be used for?
First two.
Hold on, raise your hand. Very good. Alright, so let's hear your argument for the first one.
Like, how you said, this is my first, so let's take love at first sight.
Okay, so you can take a love at first sight angle, right? He's talking about how, you know, holy jeez, I just saw this person, it's amazing. You have your hand up?
Yeah, I was going to say that it could be either one.
Okay, I want to come back to that. I want to come back to that. I didn't do that on purpose. Do we remember what Romeo was going through before this happened? Yeah, right. He had to be broken with Rosalind, and he's whining to his friends, like, I'm never going to love again, this whole thing. And now he's saying, I never saw true beauty till this night, right? So, going with this first one is this idea of love at first sight. Now, question, is there a way we could spin the Rosalind angle to make it work for this first thesis?
What do you mean?
Let's look at the, we'll come back to that. How can we use it to support the second thesis? Yeah, Steven.
Maybe he was just so, like, sad about about Rosalind, that anything that literally like appeals to his eyes, he seems to fall back in that trance to get over his last one.
Beautiful. So he just does fresh off the breakup, he sees another pretty girl, and immediately wants to sort of rebound with this person, right? I'm not so sure, and I think that does a pretty good job of capturing this idea of rushing in full 17th. Right. Jeffrey?
So just saying what he said, also, you know, as you said, Romeo said that he never loved anyone, like he'll love Rosalind, and yet he ends up saying Juliet for the first time, doesn't even have a conversation with her, and he just says like, oh, that quote right there, so it kind of shows the immaturity of his emotions and stuff like that.
Right, I was just flipping from one person to the other, right? So that's how this quote worked for this second thesis, right? Could anyone think of a way beyond love at first sight that we could use the Rosalind angle to work for the first thesis, saying, yes, this is a love story? And it's tricky. Go ahead.
You could kind of use the Capulet, the use of the Montague versus Capulet problem, because Rosalind was also a Capulet.
Yes.
Rosalind was also a Capulet, and but then after she said that she couldn't marry, like be in a relationship with him because she was a Capulet. When he found Juliet, he was so fascinated. He probably was like, oh, I want to try her.
Okay. That could work. Yeah, Brianna? Oh, yes, sorry. Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you. One of the angles I was getting at, and that was definitely a really good idea. What I was thinking of is that, guys, yes, he's a kid. Yes, he's going from one person to the other. But what's interesting is I never saw True Beauty till this night. It could do a reading of this and say, I thought I knew what love was. I thought I knew what beauty was. I was wrong. It almost takes a degree of maturity to realize that, I was wrong to think that I was never going to love again after Rosalind. I was just being impulsive. And now, all of a sudden, I see this next person and realize, oh, the world hasn't ended. I can now start this new romance. And that could be the foundation of a start of a relationship if it was a more progressive society where they were able to actually, slowly build their feelings toward each other rather than having to sneak around, get married in secret, and then kill themselves. So that's using Romeo and Juliet to show you how you can take quotations and not just summarize them. None of what you guys did was just saying a version of what the quote was, right? That's what the quote's for. We don't need you to say what the quote said. We need to say, why does this quote matter for what we're trying to accomplish in our essay? So let's turn it back to the Great Gatsby. So what we're going to do, I'm going to have you form groups of 5. I know that a lot of you aren't bringing your copies of Gatsby in anymore since we're working on other things, but I have some copies so we can share them for the different groups. Break into groups of 5, and I want you to share the thesis statements you came up with each other, and then I want you to work together to try to come up with at least one quote from Gatsby for everyone in your group. And that doesn't mean one that can work for everybody's thesis. Like, every person should have their own quote that can help support their thesis statement. Once you have that, I do want you to then return and do some of your own work. Consider these methods of explanation. Someone can read this first bullet for me? Go ahead, Mark. Oh, sorry. These are sort of talking about the different ways of exploring the quote. Read the first one.
One kind of explanation simply summarizes what is already stated, the evidence you just said.
Right. So, well, I was just saying how you don't always want to just summarize. Now, sometimes you do need to give context. If it's a confusing passage that out of the blue doesn't really have any meaning, yes, take a sentence or two, explain what's going on, what is being said. But then after that, what's the second bullet say? Steve?
The next kind of explanation analyzes the quotation and describes how evidence bolsters your thesis.
Right, and that's what you guys all did just now with the Romeo and Juliet quotes. You had the quote, we explained the context, but then we discussed why it mattered, how it could be used to support the thesis, all that different stuff, right?